Alcatraz was designed to keep people from leaving. What finally defeated it was the cost of bringing almost everything in. Every week, nearly 1 million gallons of fresh water had to cross San Francisco Bay by barge, along with food, fuel, staff, equipment, and repair materials. The island was the prison's greatest security system. It was also the weakness that made the prison impossible to sustain. From the waterfront of San Francisco, the rock appears almost close enough to touch. The nearest shore is at least 1.25 miles away, but distance was only part of the barrier. Bay water typically averaged about 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and fast tidal currents could carry a swimmer away from the intended route. The famous danger was not a ring of man-eating sharks. It was cold, current, distance, and uncertainty. A trained swimmer could cross. A prisoner without tide tables, proper conditioning, or reliable equipment faced very different odds. Long before the federal penitentiary, American engineers had already recognized the island as a natural defensive position. In the 1850s, the Army blasted and reshaped the rock, built steep walls, controlled access through a single dock, and raised a fortress above the bay. Military prisoners soon followed. The geography did not merely surround the institution. It became part of the institution. By 1909, the Army began replacing the old citadel with a vast new cellhouse. Military prisoners dismantled the upper fortress and helped build a steel-reinforced concrete structure over its buried foundations. Completed in 1912, it contained 600 cells measuring about 5 by 9 feet and was then described by the National Park Service as the world's largest steel-reinforced concrete building. A power plant produced electricity and steam heat. Kitchens, a hospital, workshops, a recreation yard, and administrative spaces turned the summit into a compact institutional city. But even the Army discovered the hidden price of this location. Prisoners could perform much of the labor on the island, yet water, food, and supplies still had to be imported. By 1933, the Army closed its prison and transferred the property to the Department of Justice. 1 year later, the Federal Bureau of Prisons reopened Alcatraz as a maximum security, minimum privilege penitentiary for men considered violent, disruptive, or likely to escape from other institutions. The federal prison was smaller than its legend. Its average population was about 260 to 275 men, and it never reached its federal capacity of 336. Each prisoner occupied a single cell. Movement was scheduled. Doors were mechanically controlled. Armed officers watched the galleries, and privileges had to be earned. Yet the most important perimeter began beyond the bars. It was the bay itself. That outer wall worked in both directions. It discouraged escape, but it also turned the dock into the island's only dependable artery. Every delivery had to arrive by boat, be unloaded under control, and climb from the waterline toward the prison. A mainland institution could connect to roads, reservoirs, power lines, and large supply networks. Alcatraz had to recreate those connections across moving water. Fresh water exposed the problem at its largest scale. The island had no natural source capable of supporting the penitentiary. Nearly 1 million gallons had to be barged in every week. A 250,000-gallon elevated steel tank, designed in 1939 and erected in 1940, gave the island storage and pressure. But the arithmetic remained unforgiving. Weekly demand was roughly equal to 4 complete tower volumes. The tank did not make Alcatraz self-sufficient. It only bought time between deliveries. Every sink, kitchen pot, shower, laundry cycle, hospital basin, and maintenance task depended on that imported reserve. The same was true for staff housing and the other buildings that made the island function as a community as well as a prison. When a boat delivered water, it was not supplying a single facility. It was temporarily restoring the island's ability to operate. Fuel created a second dependency. The powerhouse could generate electricity and steam, but the energy source still had to reach the dock. Generators, boilers, pumps, pipes and valves required parts and skilled labor. Food had to be transported and stored. Waste had to be handled. Officers and civilian employees had to travel back and forth. Even ordinary maintenance became a maritime operation. This was the central contradiction of Alcatraz. The federal government had selected an island because isolation reduced one kind of risk. But every mile of separation added cost to nearly every routine task. Security gained an outer moat. Operations inherited a permanent supply chain. The marine environment then imposed a second tax. Wind drove damp, salt-laden air against steel, brick, and concrete. Chlorides can penetrate concrete and disrupt the protective condition around reinforcing steel. As the steel corrodes, the corrosion products occupy more volume, forcing the surrounding concrete to crack and break away. On Alcatraz, salt spray contributed heavily to structural deterioration. Rust stains, exposed reinforcement, fractured edges, and failing coatings were not cosmetic problems. They were visible evidence that the island was consuming the prison from the outside inward. The complex was especially difficult because it was not one building from one moment. 19th-century masonry stood beside the 1912 concrete cellhouse, later federal modifications, industrial workshops, staff residences, docks, pipes, and the steel water tower. Each material weathered differently. Each repair required inspection, scaffolding, replacement parts, workers, and fresh supplies. And every one of those things still had to arrive by boat. By the late 1950s, the financial result was impossible to ignore. In 1959, Alcatraz cost $10.10 per prisoner per day, compared with $3 at the federal penitentiary in Atlanta. The Bureau of Prisons described Alcatraz as nearly 3 times more expensive to operate than any other federal prison. Engineers estimated that another $3 million to $5 million would be needed simply for restoration and maintenance to keep it open. Daily operating costs were not included in that figure. The timing created one of the most persistent misconceptions in the island's history. In June 1962, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin disappeared after an elaborate escape from their cells. Their fate remains unresolved in the official record, where they are listed as missing and presumed drowned. But the escape did not cause Alcatraz to close. The decision to shut the penitentiary had been made long before their disappearance. The bay was formidable, not magical. 6 months after the Morris Anglin escape, John Paul Scott reached rocks near Fort Point after entering the water from Alcatraz. He was found suffering from shock and hypothermia and returned to custody. The incident proved that the water could be crossed under extraordinary circumstances. It did not change the larger calculation. A prison can survive a breached wall. It cannot survive indefinitely when its entire operating model costs more than the government is willing to pay. On March 21, 1963, the federal penitentiary closed after 29 years. The last prisoners were transferred away, the cell doors remained behind, and the island lost the institution that had justified its supply system. The federal government concluded that building a new prison elsewhere was more economical than repairing and operating Alcatraz. The logistical weakness did not disappear when the prisoners left. During the occupation by Indians of all tribes that began in 1969, the federal government eventually cut electrical power and removed the barge that provided fresh water. The action revealed again how quickly life on the island could be constrained by controlling what crossed the bay. The occupation lasted 19 months and became a major landmark in the history of Native American activism and self-determination. In 1972, Alcatraz became part of Golden Gate National Recreation Area, and visitors began arriving the following year. The prison that had been too costly to operate was preserved because its ruins, structures, and layered history had acquired a different public value. Yet preservation has never escaped the original problem. Modern construction projects still require materials and water to be ferried to the island. The water tower itself underwent major rehabilitation in 2011 and 2012 after decades of marine exposure, receiving repaired steel and protective marine-grade coatings. Alcatraz is remembered for locked cells, famous names, and unanswered escape stories. But its most revealing artifact may be the water tower rising above the prison. It represents the part of the system the legend usually hides, a fortress that could not provide one of life's most basic necessities for itself. The island never stopped working as a barrier. It worked too well. Alcatraz could hold people, but the rock could not sustain the machine built upon it.